Every day in America, 2,000 children are reported missing. And the organization Black and Missing says 65% of the children abducted by a non-family member are minorities.
With us this morning from San Francisco is Mark Klaas, president of the KlaasKids Foundation. His 12-year-old daughter, Polly, was kidnapped and murdered in 1993. Here in the studio with us is Gaetane Border. She's president of Peas in Their Pods, an organization dedicated to finding missing children. It's good to have both of you with us this morning. Mark, anytime there's a missing person, but obviously it happens more with children, there's criticism that it's the missing white kids or the missing white adults, specifically women, who tend to get the most attention. How much validity is there to that? Is it an accurate criticism?
Yes. No, it is absolutely an accurate criticism, but there are other kinds of biases as well, Erica. There's an age bias. Certainly the younger kids get much more attention than the older kids. And then there's also a gender bias. You see much more attention being paid to girls than you do to boys.
I mean, and we can continue that with Gaetane a little bit here, Gaetane. It's not just a minority missing children proposition. You're talking missing children in general. Some get a lot of attention.
Some do get a lot of attention, and when we talk about missing kids, we're talking about 40,000 kids a year go missing. That's a sizable number that most people don't even realize exists, and there is disparity amongst different areas, whether it is, like Mark said, age, but race does play a factor.
Is it getting any better at all?
It does not seem to be getting better. However, the attention to this cause seems to be picking up somewhat.
So then what, Mark, and I'll throw this one to you to start, what is behind intense media attention? When a child or a missing person has that attention, is it the work of the family? Is it luck?
I believe that a missing child needs a family member to be out there advocating on their behalf. There's nobody that can do this as well as a family member, so you basically have to get over your shyness, you have to get over any issues you may have with media, and start working with them as much as you possibly can. If you can do that, and particularly local media, I think it's way more important because kidnappings are local events. If you can deal with the local media and you can get them on your side, you are going to get the attention for your child's case.
That's it.
That's the key. That's the key, getting the local media on your side. But for many, many families, getting that media on their side is actually harder said than done. And that's a problem for children of color that go missing their families.
The average family is not a public relations expert, which I think is the issue. But the lesson is, listen, trust the police and hope they do a good job, but you got to work very closely with them.
You have to work very closely with them and also be mindful of the fact of how your child is listed as missing. Are they listed as an endangered runaway, or are they listed as missing? That's a big difference in the way the media will react to you and whether or not you'll get the Amber Alert.
And is that a big difference, too, in the way that the public reacts to it?
Absolutely. And when we look at children of color that go missing, many of them are listed as endangered runaways. Whatever that perception is, whether they think that children of color are a little bit more out there and more apt to run away, but that's the perception, and it causes havoc.
Mark, do you think you're making progress?
I do think progress is being made. I know out where I live in San Francisco, it's a very diverse community. There was a little boy about a year and a half ago, named Hassani Campbell, little black boy, who received an enormous amount of attention. Just more recently in the Bay Area, there was a missing nursing student named Michelle Lay, a Vietnamese young lady, and she was the only missing person anybody was talking about. But in both of those cases, there were local advocates that were working on behalf of the kids. I don't know if either of them got that much national attention, but they got an enormous amount of local attention, and I think that's really the key to any of these cases.
And also, I would like to add, like Felicia Barnes, she got a sizable amount of media coverage, but when we look at the amount that she's gotten in comparison to other kids that have gone missing, it really pales in comparison.
Good for these local advocates, by the way, who step in and help. Gaetane, thank you very much, and Mark Klaas, thank you very much.
And we do want to show you some more photos of missing children. If you have any information about them, you can contact the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children at 1-800-THE-LOST.